I'll learn that.
Welcome to the scheduled council meeting of the 21st of July 2026. Could I just ask for a bit of quiet in the gallery, please? Could I ask for a bit of quiet in the gallery, please? Thank you. Welcome to the scheduled council meeting of the 21st of July 2026, which is being held in person in the council chamber at Civic Centre, 25 Ferris Boulevard, South Morang. The meeting is also being live streamed. I'm Councillor Laurie Cox, the Mayor of the City of Whittlesea, and I'd like to introduce our councillors in attendance tonight. Deputy Mayor Councillor Blair Corwell, Councillor Daniela Zimmy, Councillor David Lenberg, Councillor Michael Labrador, Councillor Chaman Tawari, Councillor Deb Gunn, Councillor Aidan McLinden, Councillor Jared Lappin, Councillor Martin Taylor and Councillor Christine Stowe. There are no apologies for this evening's meeting, and I would also introduce our Acting Chief Executive Officer on my left, Debbie Wood, and ask that Debbie introduce the members of the Executive Leadership Team.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to introduce our Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton, our Director of Community Wellbeing, Agata Hemeliski, our Director, Customer and Corporate Services, Sarah Renner, our Executive Manager, Public Affairs, Janine Morgan, our Acting Director, Infrastructure and Environment, Arishdeep Singh, and our Acting Executive Manager, Office of Council and CEO, Tony Dunleavy.
Thank you. On behalf of Council, I recognise the rich Aboriginal heritage of this country and acknowledge the Wurundjeri Willem clan and the Tongranong people as the traditional owners of lands within the City of Whittlesea. I would also like to personally acknowledge Elders past, present and emerging. I'll now read our diversity and good governance statement. At the City of Whittlesea, we are proud of our diversity and the many cultures, faiths and beliefs that make up our community. We strive to be an inclusive, welcoming city that fosters active participation, well-being and connection to each other and this land. We commit as a council to making informed decisions to benefit the people of the City of Whittlesea now and into the future to support our community's vision of a place for all. Councillors, at this point in time, I would seek a procedural motion for the standing orders to be suspended to enable a ceremonial signing of the oath of office by Councillor Tawari.
I'll move that.
So Councillor Stowe is moving. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Taylor. I'll put that to a vote. Please raise your hands. Vote is unanimous. Thank you. It's carried. I'll now hand over to the Acting CEO who will carry out.
I will now ask Councillor Tawari to read out the oath of office.
I swear by Almighty God that I will undertake the duties of the Office of Councillor in the best interest of the municipal community. I will abide by the Model Code of Conduct and uphold the standards of conduct set out in the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. I will faithfully and impartially carry out and exercise the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 2020 and any other act to the best of my skill and judgment.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, and congratulations, Councillor Tawari.
Thanks a lot.
Councillors, I now seek a procedural motion to resume the standing orders. I'll move by Councillor Gunn, seconded by Councillor Lappin, and I'll put that to a vote. All raise your hands. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to acknowledgements, and just after that, welcome again to the Council, and on behalf of Council, I'd formally welcome Councillor Charman Terari, who was officially sworn in as Councillor for Thomastown Ward in early July. Councillor Terari was elected after the recent Thomastown Ward by-election. This by-election was held following the resignation of Nick Brooks in January this year. Councillor Terari will serve the Thomastown Ward as the Thomastown Ward Councillor for the remainder of the current council term. And again, congratulations. On a sad note, the City of Whittlesea is deeply saddened by the passing of Nathan Fitzgerald following a tragic incident earlier this month during the Northern Football Netball League Division 3 reserves match at the Lawler Recreation Reserve. On behalf of Council, I'd like to extend our heartfelt condolences to Nathan's family, friends, teammates and everybody at the Epping Football and Netball Club. The acting CEO and myself have been in touch with both Nathan's family and the club during this particular time to offer our Council's condolences and support. Nathan was a valued member of the local community beyond football, and his passing will be deeply felt by all who knew him. Our thoughts are with those who are grieving this heartbreaking loss, and I'd also particularly acknowledge and thank our staff for the excellent work that they did and the support shown to the family during this period of time. I'll move on to the congratulations to the winners of this year's City of Whittlesea Business Awards. And I was honoured to be presenting the awards at the event last month, where we celebrated and recognised the achievements, the innovation and success of our amazing local businesses. Congratulations to all the nominees and the following award recipients. Community Contribution Award, Repurpose It. The Customer Service Award, Whittlesea Physiotherapy and Clinical Pilates. The Diversity and Inclusion Award, All Ability Dental. The Innovation and Enterprise Award, IFAS. The Small Business Award, Ladies That Lift. The Sustainability Environment Award, Bigen. And the Business of the Year was IFAS. Congratulations to all of those people, and it was a great night. I'll now ask Councillor Call to move on to the next acknowledgement.
Thank you, Chair. NAIDOC Week was celebrated from the 5th to the 12th of July. Held annually in the first week of July, the week celebrates and recognises the history, culture and achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. This year's theme, 50 Years of Deadly, marks the 50th anniversary of the week. The City of Whittlesea held a vibrant community celebration in partnership with Victorian Aboriginal Health Service, or VARS, at the Whittlesea Aboriginal Gathering Place. Thank you.
And the next one.
Thank you, Chair. National Tree Day is celebrated on the 27th of July, and the City of Whittlesea is holding 2 community planting days in Bunjalnunga Parkland, Quarry Hills. The first planting day will be held on the 11th of July, with the second being held on the 26th of July. These planting days will support Council's efforts to plant 25,000 Indigenous trees and wildflowers across the parkland in 2026, growing our tree canopy, supporting local wildlife and making sure the community can enjoy the benefits of a healthier environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. I'm delighted to share that the City of Whittlesea was proud to have received 2 awards at the LG Pro annual conference last month. The first award was the 2026 LG Pro Customer Experience Award. This award celebrates the incredible work delivered through our ongoing customer experience program and the commitment of our teams putting customers at the centre of everything we do. The City of Whittlesea was also awarded the 2026 Award for Excellence in the Community Assets and Infrastructure category for the Aboriginal Gathering Place at Bunjalnunga, Parkland, Quarry Hills. Congratulations to everybody that was involved in those projects and to those that received the awards. I'm also excited to share that the City of Whittlesea, on the same night, I'll point out, also received recognition in the Australasian Reporting Awards last month for the 3rd consecutive year of our annual report, which received the prestigious Gold Award. It was also the winner of the Communications Award in the Public Sector category for the 2nd year in a row. And Again, I congratulate everybody that was involved in bringing this report together, and the awards are sitting on the table to my left. Councillors and officers, I'll move on to the conflict of interest in any item in the agenda. You may verbally disclose the type and nature of interest now, but you must also make a declaration immediately before consideration of the matter in question. Councillors, are there any items for which you have a conflict of interest to declare? Councillor Gunn.
Yes, 5.1, the Brookwood leasing.
Thank you.
And I'm a member of the RSL committee.
Thank you. No others? Okay. Officers, are there any items of which you have a conflict of interest to declare? Bill. I'll now move to the confirmation of the minutes. So I seek a motion to confirm the minutes at the following preceding meetings. 1, the hearing of submissions committee meeting held on the 11th of June 2026 and the scheduled council meeting held on the 16th of June 2026. Councillor Colwell.
Chair, yes, I move that the minutes be accepted.
For the hearing of submissions committee held on the 11th of June and also the scheduled council meeting held on the 16th of June.
Thank you, which is the opposite recommendation. Is there a second? Councillor Zinni. I'll now put that to a vote. I'll ask you to raise your hands. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move to item 4.1, which is the public question time. Council allows for up to 30 minutes for public questions, petitions or joint letters from our community. Public questions will be read out by the Acting CEO's delegate, responded to by the Acting CEO. Any questions submitted that are not in accordance with the governance rules are either declined or held over to the next scheduled council meeting. All questions and responses will be included in the minutes of the council meeting. I note we have received 3 public questions in accordance with the governance rules. There were no introductory or background statements in relation to the question to be read out. I'll now hand over to Tony Dunleavy, the Acting Executive Manager, Office of the Council and CEO, to read the question, and Debbie Wood, the Acting CEO, to provide the response.
Thank you, Chair. The first question relates to bike paths on McDonald's Road. Why was there a bike path built on McDonald's Road?
McDonald's Road is an arterial road that is under the management of the Victorian Government's Department of Transport and Planning. However, Council is responsible for the maintenance and upgrade of active travel paths on this road. This particular path on the northern side of McDonald's Road between Scarborough Road and the E6 Reserve completed a missing link in the local cycling network. The new path is designed to improve safety and connectivity for cyclists and links key destinations including Epping, Plenty Valley, Greenbrook Shopping Centre, Meadow Glen International Athletics Stadium and several local schools. Consultation was undertaken with residents directly adjacent the works in 2022, with the majority of residents in favour of the project.
Thank you, Acting CEO. The second question relates to, it's a group question in relation to data centres. And the question is, we have received a number of questions in relation to the data centre at 525 and 535 McDonald Road and 765 Plenty Road, South Morang. In accordance with our Governance Rule 48.12, like questions may be grouped together and a single answer provided. Therefore, questions on the data centre have been grouped together. These questions relate to community consultation, council advocacy, environmental impacts, health and safety, planning and location, traffic and local amenity. Questions also seek more detail on the project. I would now like to invite our Acting CEO to provide a response to these group of questions.
I'd like to thank everyone who put the time in to put these questions into us, and particularly the questions around the centre proposed in South Morang. Council is not the decision maker for this application. An application for a data centre at 525 and 535 McDonald's Road and 765 Plenty Road in South Morang was lodged with the Victorian Government through their Department Facilitation Program. Council provided a submission opposing the centre on the basis that it did not align with strategic plans for the area and interrupted key transport connections. Despite Council's concerns, the Minister approved the application. Council officers will present a report to the August Council meeting recommending further advocacy to federal and state governments to implement stronger regulations, policies and assessments frameworks for data centres to ensure that they are located in appropriate locations and are designed with high environmental performance. Queries about the project should be directed to the Victorian Department of Transport and Planning.
Thank you, Acting CEO. As per the previous question, this question relates to Mernda Pool. The questions about the aquatics at Mernda have been grouped together in accordance with Governance Rule 48.12. Questions relate to project status and timeline, funding and advocacy and project priority. I will now invite our Acting CEO to provide a response to the questions.
Thank you. Again, thank you for your questions regarding the aquatics and leisure component of the Regional Sports Precinct in Mernda. The business case for a regional sports facility in Mernda was endorsed by Council in July 2022, with delivery of the project dependent on a funding partnership with the Victorian and/or federal governments, recognising that the scale of investment required exceeds Council's financial capacity. Since that time, the Victorian Government has announced a $10 million grant towards the aquatics and leisure component. However, this funding is substantially below the level required in the business case. As per the June 2026 Council meeting minutes, a report will be brought to the August Council meeting. In the lead up to the August Council meeting, Council has been reviewing scope options, updating costings and different funding models. Council is also continuing discussions with state and federal government on grant opportunities and funding support.
Thank you. That's all the public questions. In terms of item 4.2 petitions, I'll go to 4.2.1. A petition has been received from 33 residents requesting Council urgently remove the council planted eucalyptus tree and associated root system located on the nature strip at 22 Paringa Avenue, South Morang, as the tree presents an ongoing and unacceptable safety risk to residents, visitors and the wider community. Falling nut, leaves and branches have created hazardous conditions on the footpath, driveway and surrounding areas, resulting in multiple slips and injuries. Do I have a mover of the recommendation? Councillor Taylor, you're moving.
Thank you, Chair. I move as the motion, the officer's recommendation is presented.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Gunn. Councillor Taylor?
Thank you, Chair. I support the motion as presented and the proper consideration of this petition. I've attended at 22 Paringa Avenue, South Morang, and spoken on a number of occasions and spoken with the residents and the neighbouring residents and viewed the tree in question and the trees adjacent to that tree that constitute now the basis of this petition. Those discussions gave me a clear understanding of the concerns being raised by the falling nuts, leaves and branches and the condition of the footpath, the driveway area and the apparent reported risk to residents and visitors. I note the petition was signed by 33 residents, Chair, as you've indicated, and support the motion that it be referred to the Acting Chief Executive Officer and the relevant Council Department for proper investigation and consideration, and I respectfully urge Council to ensure that the residents of Paringa Avenue receive timely feedback as soon as possible.
Thank you. Seconder, you wish to speak?
I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. Is there any other speakers? Councillor McLinden.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Trees, obviously, as much as they're protected, they can pose a bit of a damage, and I've spoken to the couple of residents actually there in relation to this issue. Just to echo some of the words that Councillor Taylor has said, if we can get an arborist out there and a report done sooner than later, obviously there's safety hazards there as well, and we do ensure that that is a priority when considering the next actions and next steps. So I do look forward to that report coming forward. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any other speakers? Being none, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. It is carried unanimously. Item 4.2.2, floodlights. Petition's been received from 16 residents requesting installation of floodlights at the Riverine Recreation Reserve fenced dog park on Mudstone Street, Wollert. Since its commissioning, the park has evolved into a vital social and physical hub for locals and their pets. During the winter months, the utility of the park drops significantly after 5 p.m, with residents working standard business hours being forced to either exercise their dogs entirely in the dark or avoid the park altogether. We believe energy-efficient solar LED lights, floodlights, with an automated timer would be cost-effective and a sustainable solution in two salient ways: increasing safety and security and enhanced accessibility and community wellbeing. Do I have a mover of the recommendation? Councillor McLinden? And do I have... Sorry, Councillor McLinden, you're doing...
No. Sorry, Chair, I move the officer's recommendation and note the petition.
Gill, and seconder, Councillor Lappin. Councillor McLinden, do you wish to speak?
Briefly, Chair, look, I understand their concerns, and obviously within working hours that people can't get down there when it gets dark. I think we have to be careful what they wish for as well, because sometimes in some instances where lights have been put in by council, the next thing the same people putting a petition to take them to turn the lights off. So we just got to make sure that we do a proper investigation in terms of what, if any, hours it can be possibly lit, and also the associated pros and cons if it were to be lit beyond the normal daylight hours. But I do say to the residents that once we've done that investigation, it would be certainly well worth their input in that and the reasoning behind whether or not we can proceed in this manner, given that, as I said, with spillover surrounding neighbours, potentially safety concerns as well. We've just got to make sure that we balance that before proceeding any further. But I do look forward to that report from the board and thank the residents for bringing their issue to council. Thanks, Chair.
Is the seconder wish to speak, Councillor? Is there any other speakers? Being none, I'll put the resolution to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. I'll ask you to stay hands up. So Councillor Tuari, Councillor Labrador, Councillor Lindbergh, Councillor Cole, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor McLinden, Councillor Gunn. All those against? And all those abstaining? Councillor Zinni. Thank you. The motion is carried. I'll now move to item 4.2.3. A petition's been received from 18 residents advising council of a large oversized tree on the nature strip at 5 Carousel Court, Epping. This tree is overgrown in the court. It's hazardous and dangerous of falling limbs and branches causing dangers to properties, residents and children. Do I have a mover of a recommendation? Councillor Colwell. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lindbergh. Councillor Colwell, you're moving.
The officer recommendations the motion, thanks.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak?
No, Chair.
Councillor Lindbergh, you're the seconder?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment? Nope. I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. And it is carried unanimously. Thank you. 4.3, there are no joint letters, so we'll now move into consideration of reports. I'll move to item 5.1, the Doreen RSL lease proposal for Brooklyn Community Centre, and before I hand over to Director of Planning and Development, Councillor Gunn. You saying? Sorry again.
I shall leave.
You're declaring a conflict of interest, Councillor Gunn.
I am declaring a
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, councillors.
Just before you... Wait one second.
It won't let me out.
Thank you, Director. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, councillors. I'm joined here this evening with Amanda, Manager of Strategic Property and Portfolio Development, Regional Director, Agata, the Director of Community Wellbeing. So this item tonight that we present to you is in response to the Council resolution of the 21st of April 2026, which was to undertake a notice of intention to lease part of the Brookwood Community Centre to the Doreen RSL. Council resolved to undertake a community consultation on option B, which is part occupancy of the community facility with no alcohol sales. The proposal was also subject to operational restrictions and evidence of the organisation's financial and general capacity to manage the lease. I'll now hand over to Amanda to take you through further detail.
Thank you, Emma. The statutory notice of intention to lease was given on the 4th of May 2026 in accordance with Council's community engagement policy. This included a public notice on Council website, a letterbox drop in the neighbourhood, direct communication with regular hirers, social media posts and an on-site flyer. 418 submissions were recognised. Sentiment of submissions was 25% in support and 75% in opposition to the lease. 254 people made written submissions. A hearing of submissions meeting was held on the 11th of June where 30 people spoke. The majority of the submissions were from local residents, followed by community centre users, then others, which included RSL members, veterans, occasional users of the space, friends or family of user groups, and community members who would like to use the facility in the future. Those in support spoke to a desire for a dedicated and secure long-term facility for the Doreen RSL, providing certainty for veteran services and ongoing operations. Of those written submissions supporting the proposal, 16% expressly advocated for option D, which was Doreen's RSL's exclusive use of the entire facility. Those in opposition spoke about the facility being for the entire community, the displacement of current tenants, and that Brookwood is not the appropriate site. Many opposing submissions simultaneously expressed support for veterans while advocating for retention of existing community uses and seeking an alternative site for the RSL. The report provides the full background, context, the process undertaken and details of the submissions received. And having concluded the required community engagement under the Local Government Act, including public notice, consideration of all submissions, written and heard, the recommendation is that Council not lease any part of Brookwood Community Centre to the Doreen RSL, approve the acting CEO to write to the Department of Veteran Affairs seeking to decouple the $1.6 million funding from the Brookwood Community Centre, to work with the Doreen RSL Committee and the Department of Veterans Affairs to identify and assess alternative long-term locations, and to notify all submitters of Council's decision.
Okay, that's the report. Is there any questions from councillors? I'll say it again. Microphone on. Is there any questions from councillors? Councillor McLendon?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. In relation to this, and obviously it's a complex and ongoing issue, and this isn't to put anyone on the spot, but through the Chair, have all parties been considered, obviously, in this recommendation prior to being presented tonight, in terms of they're aware where this is heading in terms of their 11th hour input? That's what I seek an answer to, Chair.
So we have, the RSL we met with the committee, the RSL to explain this recommendation and the reasons for that prior to coming tonight. And obviously the report was released on Thursday for public view, so it's been in the public domain now for 4 days, 4 working days.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, officers. I'll now move on to the officer recommendation. Councillor Colwell.
Thanks, Thank you, Chair. I would like to move the officer's recommendation as the motion.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Lenberg. Councillor Caldwell, you're the mover.
Thank you, Chair. Through the consultation process, the hearing of submissions and the many emails, my enthusiasm for supporting the important work of Doreen RSL has only strengthened and become more deeply rooted. Their contribution to honouring the service of our veterans, educating children and young people about service and sacrifice, and perhaps most importantly, providing healing and support to first responders and returned service personnel living with the trauma that so often accompanies their service cannot be overstated. I have the privilege of meeting many members of Doreen RSL, listening to their stories, hearing their hopes, understanding their struggles, and gaining an appreciation of the experience and challenges that continue to shape their lives long after their service has ended. Some may argue that Veterans Affairs are solely the responsibility of the federal government. From a pragmatic perspective, this is true. But when a case is so compelling, so overwhelmingly just, and so deserving of our support, does it not transcend the boundaries of government and instead become a much simpler question? What is in the best interests of our community? Without hesitation, I believe a permanent home for Doreen RSL is unquestionably in the best interests of our municipality. A community is the sum of its parts, and it flourishes when those most in need of connection, compassion and care are supported to heal and thrive. Council has an important role to play, not as a provider of veteran services, but as a facilitator and enabler. We have the capacity to help establish a place where veterans and first responders can connect with one another, access psychological and wellbeing supports that recognise the unique realities of military service, and harness the strength of community as a powerful contributor to recovery and resilience. While consultations opened my eyes to the importance of this work, it is also my view that locating Doreen RSL Brookwood Community Centre would ultimately be a disservice to the ambition and vision of this deserving organisation. I appreciate that this would be a disappointing message for members of the Doreen RSL. Too often, and on more than one occasion, it has appeared that a solution was within reach, only for the circumstances to change and the opportunity to disappear. I acknowledge the frustration and fatigue that inevitably comes with this experience. However, something this important deserves more than a compromise. It deserves a solution that is enduring, sustainable, and capable of fulfilling the aspirations of the organisation and the community it serves. A shared facility, in my view, is unlikely to provide the certainty or autonomy required. A model without a clear pathway to long-term financial sustainability is equally unlikely to succeed. And most importantly, any response that fails to respect Doreen RSL's capacity to determine its own direction risks falling short, because returned service personnel are best placed to understand the experience, challenges and support needed for their fellow veterans. My expectation is that officers renew their efforts to identify an appropriate long-term solution that delivers a permanent home and a meaningful outcome for Doreen RSL and the wider community. That this work be undertaken through genuine and authentic engagement with the Doreen RSL committee and its members, recognising them as partners in designing a solution rather than simple recipients of it. Finally, I ask members of Doreen RSL, despite what I know is a disappointment, to remain open-minded and continue to engage in good faith. I remain optimistic that by working together with honesty, persistence and shared purpose, we can find a solution that honours both your service and your vision for the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Lenberg, you're the seconder.
Thank you, Chair. I want to acknowledge the deep respect many of us feel for the RSL and the important work it does for veterans and their families. This is not about, diminishing that contribution. It is about making a decision that is fair to the RSL, fair to existing community groups, and fair to the broader Whittlesea community. The proposal as it stands raises a number of serious concerns. The full use of the facility required by the RSL would displace community groups that are already using Brookwood. Those groups have built programs, connections and trust with local residents. Pushing them out to make way for another user creates real disruption and hardship. There is also a clear community view While there is overwhelming support for the RSL to have its own facility, with around 85% in favour, that support is not for the RSL to be located at Brookwood. The community is telling us that a different location would be more appropriate. Financially, the RSL expects to pay no rent. That would result in a loss to council of approximately $57,000. Council cannot be expected to provide ongoing indirect funding through a peppercorn rent arrangement. It may have been an option in the past, but this is no longer viable. This is particularly important given that the RSL's business model relies on the sale of alcohol. Alcohol-related harm is already a significant issue in our community, linked to domestic violence, crime and antisocial behaviour. Council cannot be seen to be supporting community groups whose operation depends on alcohol sales. We can respect the RSL and still say that this is not the right location, not the right financial arrangement and not the right model for Brookwood. I encourage councillors to vote against this application in its current form by supporting the officer recommendation and to find a solution that better serves all parts of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Stone.
So tonight I want to say that the Dorrien RSL deserves a permanent home. That's clear. Our veterans deserve our respect, our gratitude and a place where they can gather and support one another. The debate was never about whether RSL should have a home. It has been about whether Brookwood Community Centre is the right home. I want to acknowledge the work of our officers who have worked diligently with Dorrien RSL and the wider community to try and find a solution. And I know considerable effort has gone into the project. We also have a responsibility to listen to our community. The community has spoken loudly and clearly. Hundreds of submissions were received and a significant majority opposed the proposal. Consultation only has value if we are genuinely prepared to listen when the community speaks. I've also heard a lot said about Dorrien RSL being a not-for-profit organisation. During my years working in the disability sector, someone once asked which NDIS provider was best. Is it because they're a not-for-profit? A senior regulator responded that some of the worst complaints were dealt with involved not-for-profit organisations, and this has stayed with me. Likewise, commercial organisations are not inherently bad. They employ local people, contribute to our economy and support our communities. My father ran a small business and I know the commitment and responsibility that comes with that. Each proposal should stand on its own merits. Tonight's decision is about fairness. 23 years ago, the dance school, the church and many other community groups were invited to help build community at the Brookwood Community Centre. And 23 years later, we should honour that they built an established community when Lorimer was a fledgling estate. They accepted the invitation and invested in the community. Their contribution matters too. This decision is not about one organisation. I met with many across the broader Brookwood community, the RSL, and many of the community organisations there. I wanted to make the best decision for everybody tonight, for our community. Our municipality continues to experience unacceptably high levels of family violence. While alcohol is not the main cause of family violence, it is recognised as a contributing factor in many instances. For that reason, I cannot in good conscience support a proposal that includes alcohol sales as part of the operation in a community facility that's so close to residents. This is not a judgment on the Dorrien RSL, but it's what's best for the wider community, and I'd like to again acknowledge the work that our soldiers do, that our men face out there, and I would encourage our officers to look for a different solution for our Dorrien RSL. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Can I just remind councillors to address the council, not the gallery, please? Thank you. Councillor Lappin.
Thank you very much, Chair. And so the process of consultation regarding this proposed lease on Brookwood, in my opinion, has been less than ideal. During this extended process, there was serious misinformation which was spread about the Dorrien RSL and their intentions for the site if it was granted. This has caused reputational damage to that organisation and undue angst to its membership. Attending the hearing of submission session for this proposal, was clear to me that there was unnecessary community divide. I believe with better communication between parties at the start of this process, that could and should have been avoided. Under a more thorough and collaborative process, I think a far different outcome may have been reached. Under the circumstances of how this process has been managed and the issue is created, it seems that this current proposal of Brookwood is no longer viable. We need to ensure that in future, if we reach out or are approached by other levels of government for joint projects with which we have a shared interest, we're upfront about what is possible and what we can plausibly deliver. The process to get a permanent home for Dora and RSL has been a long one, which has started before this councillor group and the administration period. It is my intention to be part of a council which delivers that permanent home and draws an end to this difficult saga. This motion before us here states that council will work with both the Dora and RSL and DVA to find a suitable location, and I want to ensure that that work is prioritised and finalised. The Dora and RSL deserves and needs that permanent home in order to provide the local services, connections and supports to our large veteran community. I'll be abstaining from voting on this motion because I do not believe the process which got us to this point was correct. And I believe that this proposal was not given the proper chance to succeed on its own merits. There are aspects of this motion I do support, particularly section 3, but I will be using my vote for proposals which bring Dora and RSL closer to a permanent home. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Taylor.
Thanks, Chair. This was a difficult decision, and one to which I've given considerable time, attention and careful consideration. I've reviewed the report, the submissions and the matters placed before Council. As a recently retired Major in the Australian Army who's deployed on several occasions and a current veteran service member of the RSL, I understand firsthand the important role the RSL has in supporting serving members, veterans, their families, and I strongly support the work and objectives of the RSL. However, as a councillor for the City of Whittlesea, I must consider all relevant matters and make a decision that serves the broader community interest. Having done so, I support the motion. The decision is not a rejection of the Doreen RSL or the valuable services that they provide. It is a finding that the Brookwood Community Centre is not the appropriate location for this proposed lease. Brookwood is an established shared community facility used by 9 regular community groups, casual users, community programs and local residents. Council received 418 verified responses, 314 opposed to the proposal. That level of community concern must be given proper weight. I note that Council is currently engaged in further discussions with the Doreen RSL, and this is important. It demonstrates that Council is continuing to work constructively with the Doreen RSL while ensuring that any future proposal is appropriate, sustainable to the broader community interest. This motion provides a balanced, responsible outcome. It preserves Brookwood for the community use, seek to retain federal funding and to support the identification of a more suitable long-term home for the Doreen RSL. This is a transparent, evidence-based, financially responsible decision, and as such, I support this motion. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. I believe this motion is a sensible step towards providing surety for the community groups living at Brookwood Community Centre, whilst working with the Doreen RSL to achieve self-determination. I believed all along that this was the best course of action, which is why I voted against option B back in April, as it would have left Doreen RSL in an impossible position whilst jeopardising the future of the community groups at Brookwood. Nevertheless, I believe this issue is meant to be handled by the federal government as it relates to Veterans Affairs and Welfare. That doesn't mean we can't work with them, and I think this motion does share the sentiment that we do want to work with them. But firstly, I'd like to raise that, yes, the Doreen RSL have been waiting years for a path forward, and we desperately want them to have a path forward, to find a place for them. But I'd like to touch on the history here. I think it's important as well, particularly as Council is making a decision on this. The short recent history, and obviously there's further history back beyond this, but last year the Liberals pledged $4.75 million to upgrade the football grounds and pavilion, and the federal member Rob Mitchell hit back with $1.6 million pledge for Brookwood without community consultation of the groups that actually reside there. I wanted to say that you should not play with the livelihoods of our community. You should not try to play political football in hopes for support, and shame on both of these parties for taking advantage of a vulnerable group of people such as the RSL. Shame on Rob Mitchell. You've used your platform in Parliament to attack the City of Whittlesea when you dedicate money that you know is not going to be enough to accommodate the Dorian RSL. You dangle their hopes and dreams in front of them without actually delivering for them. Instead, you should take responsibility, decouple the $1.6 million commitment, invest more than what has been pledged, and apologise to the families of Dance Power for using your platform and parliamentary privilege to intimidate them. These are families that you're meant to represent as their federal member.
Councillor, just be very careful on the language, please.
Yes, Chair. I'm done with the grandstanding. But things can still
I'm
be...
not talking about grandstanding, I'm talking about the language suggesting someone's intimidating someone's not appropriate.
Sure. But things can still be made right, but you need to come to the table and work with us instead of playing politics.
Sorry,
Yeah,
keep going.
My message to the Dorian RSL is that this motion seeks to work with you. We want to work with you, but it has to be collaborative and cooperative. I, along with everyone around here, around this table, want you to have a home and self-determine your future. But it has to be fit for purpose and it has to be the right spot. My message to the community groups at Brookwood that I hope...
Councillor, your time's expired.
No, he had a minute and a half. It was...
Sorry?
Yeah, he did have a minute and a half left.
Okay.
But
Apologies. Yeah, we'll go. Keep going. Sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I apologise.
Almost time. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. My message to the groups at Brookwood that I hope that you guys can breathe a sigh of relief if and when this motion passes. Please don't hold resentment against the Dorian RSL. They just want a home, just like all of us. Specifically to Dance Power, please keep dancing your butts off. I can't wait to see the great work that you do in the future. And look, lastly, I just want to commend the officers for all their work in bringing these groups to the table. From hearing of submissions to our online and in-person work at Brookwood, this is community consultation, and I'm in full support of the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Other speakers? Councillor McLendon.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And if there was ever an example of an issue in Australian politics that demonstrates we have too many levels of government and not enough decisions, I think this is one of them. Chair, this puts me in a predicament as a former soldier and a daughter that dances, not at Dance Power, but you won't win trying to keep them all happy. However, in this circumstance, I will be, like Councillor Lappin, abstaining for various reasons, but one is I don't believe I've been led on a very honest pathway, reflection of no one individually in terms of to get to this point. And I do believe that there's going to need to be surety for both Dance Power and the RSL, not just one, and I think that surety needs to be extended, and I would certainly go in and bat for Dance Power if the position was the other way around. Councillor Labrador makes a good point that it's fair to say that the member for McEwen was a bit of a sneaky fox and used parliamentary privilege to throw council under the bus unfairly. It's been alluded to that the Department of Veteran Affairs is largely in control of something like this. However, we've extended obviously our olive branch to assist where we possibly can, given the nature of the complexity before us. I do feel, and want to say this on the public record, that I do feel it's a little unfair drawing in the liquor licences into the damages that alcohol can do, and we know those circumstances are out there. But as a former committee member on the Alcohol Fueled Violence Committee, we did find that most of the violence happens between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. between 18 and 25-year-olds at nightclubs. So just to clear that up, I feel that it's a bit unfair bringing that issue into something like the RSL, which is always, in my experience, a very dignified environment. And if anything, that's probably a good example of how alcohol should be consumed in the fellowship of fellow soldiers and their families. So I do like to raise my concern that you can, as Councillor Lappin alluded to before, that there's some reputational damage can get when people get passionate on both sides of the fence in this. But unfortunately, this is an issue that demonstrates that council has been left with the hot potato when really this should have been absolutely wholly and solely solved or resolved by the federal parliament. So whilst we don't have parliamentary privilege, and we like to probably use a little bit more colourful language than we can in these chambers, I do want to send a very clear message to the member for McEwen to say that a retraction would be fantastic, apology would be even better, but more importantly, a resolution, I think, to have all parties around the table and to realise the input that they have. But for us to be left with a hot potato to try and keep vested interests on both sides, I think is horribly unfair on the council and particularly to Dance Power and the RSL, because we're left the domestic politics in the neighbourhood of arguing about something that really should have been funded properly and honestly, should not have been coupled in the first instance. And I think all of us have the will to have a standalone RSL, and of course it would need to, in the interest of fellowship, have to have a liquor licence regardless or not. And I do question the $57,000 of the loss that we would make, because various community groups are on various different peppercorn leases. So once again, I don't think that would be a valid argument to stack up of why we wouldn't have the RSL in there. So I really do think that whilst we have too many tiers of government in Australia, I really think between council, our battle with state will obviously be the pool. That's another issue for another day. But with federal, it looks like it's going to be the RSL. And we always tend to get the spiky end of the pineapple. But I think what we need to understand here is that we will do the very best we can, and I think we will insure and give the insurity and the insurance to both the RSL and Dance Power the absolute maximum benefit they can get, including the surrounding neighbours who've been on site there recently, who obviously get impacted with this. So it's a ripple effect that we're certainly going to do our very best and damnedest given the little bit of power and money that we do have, but I am sure that in the fullness of time we will be able to reach to a conclusion that suits everybody. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Full use of time. We are, sorry, I'll ask for other speakers, but again, I'll just gently remind councillors, one, I know everyone's trying to be nice about this, please address the council, not the gallery, and secondly, please understand that comments that are made are not under privilege. The federal member for McEwen may have made a statement in the House, that's under privilege. Statements here are not. So please understand that.
Chair, I'll withdraw Sneaky Fox.
Wasn't the comment I was looking for, of course. Okay, other speakers. I'm going to use, look, I know two councillors have indicated abstentions. Now, technically that may not be considered as speaking against, but there have been comments against, so on that basis I'm going to give the right of reply to the mover.
Thank you, Chair. And I thought it just appropriate to make a few final comments. Obviously, we've discussed liquor licensing, and as it stands with this motion as we have it, it's not part of the proposal. So I think it's important to make that distinction. The other point that I wish to make is linking, obviously, the two around, obviously, the really serious issue that we have in the city we'll see around family violence and also consumption of alcohol. When we consider what are the determinants of family violence, we consider, traditional views of the role of women within the house. We think about sexist views. We think about those sorts of things. And then we think about what are the contributing factors, and those being alcohol, potentially mental health, a whole range of things. So it's incorrect, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, and my interpretation of the evidence to suggest that alcohol is the cause of family violence. And I thought it appropriate to make it very, very clear of any imputation in regards to Doreen RSL and family violence and consumption of alcohol, that there is no link whatsoever, because I think it would be a disservice of this council to cast a light that suggests that that was the case. My experience with Doreen RSL is that they've been incredibly respectful of women, incredibly respectful of their community, and would not tolerate for a moment within their community views that aligned that would lead to violence against women and family members. So I really want to make sure that that was made crystal clear, that there is no imputation whatsoever that besmirches Doreen RSL in that place.
Sorry, point of order. Point of order is Councillor Zinni.
Point of order. So point of order is F. So irrelevant to the item of business on the agenda and has not been admitted as urgent or purports to the amendment. we shouldn't be talking about family violence and alcohol in relation to this.
Sorry, Councillor Zinni, it's not a point of order because it has been referred to during the debate by several councillors. So I do accept that Councillor Colwell can use that comment in the right of reply. Thank you.
I yield.
You have completed? Yes. Thank you. Okay, I intend to put the recommendation to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. So, Councillor Tuari, Councillor Labrador, Councillor Lindbergh, Councillor Colwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor. All those against? None. All those abstaining? So Councillor Zinni, Councillor Linden and Councillor Lappin. The motion is carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 5.2. And we've got to get Councillor Gunn back into the room. Thank you. So we move to item 5.2, the Garden Road Development Plan Amendment. I'll hand over to Emma Appleton, the Director of Planning and Development, to present the report.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we are pleased to present the proposed Garden Road Development Plan Amendment, which affects the site of 31A Yellow Brick Road, Doreen. This site is one of the very few remaining undeveloped lots in the Garden Road Development Plan area. The proposed change is designed to broaden the range of land uses permitted for the site. I'll now hand over to Sam, our strategic planner, to take you through the detail.
The proposed development plan amendment has been submitted to council for consideration by a consultant on behalf of the landowner. The proposed amendment affects the land use designation of one lot within the development plan area at 31A Yellow Brick Road, Doreen. The development plan amendment seeks to change the land use for the site from swim centre and medical centre to non-residential uses as permissible under the general residential zone. These potential uses may include swim centre and medical centre, as well as a number of other examples such as childcare centre, car wash, convenience restaurant, food and drinks premises and service station. A public consultation process was undertaken for a period of 4 weeks. The development plan amendment was exhibited to nearby residents and relevant authorities with a total of 4 submissions. Council officers have reviewed and responded to each submission, and the development plan amendment has been updated in response to 2 resident submissions. Additional performance measures have been incorporated into the development plan amendment to address a range of amenity and privacy concerns, such as ensuring that the design of built form and loading and waste storage areas minimises potential noise and privacy impacts on surrounding properties. The proposed development plan amendment has been assessed as being consistent with local and state planning policy and relevant strategic plans, and the issues raised by nearby residents will be effectively managed via performance measures in the development plan amendment. In summary, the proposed amendment responds to the location of the site being adjoining an existing commercial precinct and within a residential area. The amendment will enable the site to be developed for a range of uses which will benefit the community while minimising any potential impacts on nearby residential properties. As such, the report recommends that Council approve the amendment to the Garden Road Development Plan.
Thank you. Any questions? None? Thank you. Do I have a mover? Councillor Lappin.
The officer's recommendation, Chair.
And seconded Councillor Gunn. And I'll ask Councillor Lappin, you'll move it.
Just briefly, Chair, I think this decision here is pretty straightforward. I think it makes sense for the area. It makes, to make that area more viable. I think that works. This decision. On a personal note, though, I think just going with this motion, I love lots about the Victorian planning system, so I enjoyed that. So, thank you, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Gardner's the seconder.
Likewise, I think this is a good move for the community. It's quite a busy little area down near the corner of Ridge Inn and Yan Yan Road, somewhere I drive past quite often, and I think this is going to be hopefully a really good use for the community going into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other speakers? Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make a comment that if anyone had any questions about the City of Whittlesea not being open for business or business friendly, I hope that they would double check and have a look at everyone's vote after this regarding this motion. Thank you.
Okay. Any other speakers? Being none, I'll ask you to vote on the recommendation. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Oh, have to.
Councillor McLean has been embarrassed into it, apparently. It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5.3, which is the contract 2026 number 5. Arboriculture.
As long as you choose.
Got it. Apparently it's trees. I'll hand over to Aristide Singh as the Acting Director of Infrastructure and Environment to present the report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, councillors. I'm joined by James Walden, Manager of Maintenance and Operations. We are here to present contract 2026-5 Agricultural Services and seek council's approval to award the contract. The contract comprises of 4 portions and is to be awarded for initial 6-year period commencing in September 2026 plus optional extensions of up to 4 years. Now I'll pass on to James to take us through the report.
Thank you, Aristide. Good evening, councillors. Councillors, tonight we seek your endorsement to award contract 20265 for agricultural services across all 4 of its portions to the suppliers listed within the contract for the amounts listed within the report for a term not exceeding 10 years. Councillors, the proposal we have before you tonight represents 2 years' worth of officers' work. It began with the recognition that our tree services weren't meeting the expectations of the organisation, and they certainly weren't meeting the expectations of the community. In April of last year, we moved away from our historic tree provider and we unbundled our contract into its core portions and began what became an 18-month pilot program to test whether better outcomes could be achieved. Across the past 18 months, we saw drastic reductions in customer wait times with that pilot program. We increased our work completion rates by 58%, and we saved about $1 million per year while delivering those outcomes. The proposal you have before you tonight seeks to enshrine those learnings into our long-term tree contracts, which will ensure that the community receives better outcomes across the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from councillors? Councillor Lemberg.
Thank you, Chair. Just with portion C, reactive pruning, including storm cleanup response, how has this been estimated considering that weather is unpredictable and we might have more or less weather events occurring?
That's a good question. So the contract accounts for a schedule of rates. So we only pay the storm response when it's needed, and we have based it off the last 5 years of usage.
Thank you.
Councillor Zinni.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is, because we've got 4 contracts and totalling up to $88 million over a 10-year period, what will happen in 5 years' time? Just say that the particular tender doesn't live up to their standards. Do we assess that and recontract?
Absolutely. So we've been very stringent within this contract. We've built in financial incentives and penalties. So if they are underperforming, we can review that on a quarterly basis and penalise the contractor. Because we do have 4 individual contracts, the switching costs are much lower than what we've had historically. Historically, having 1 contract, it was hard to look for an alternate provider. With 4 legal contracts, it will be easier for us to essentially move on from an underperforming contract and replace them within the market.
Any other questions? Councillor Stowe.
Can you just clarify that again for me, please? Because I didn't quite hear that there's some sort of KPI or escape clause if they don't perform. And I'm also wondering, why is a contract for 10 years?
So I'll address the second point first. The contracts are for 10 years because for large service contracts of this scale, the supplier has to purchase a significant amount of tools and equipment and vehicles. They make multi-million-dollar capital investments up front. They have to hire and train large portions of staff. So across a contract like this, we'd expect to see upwards of 60 employees and millions of dollars spent on tools and equipment to get them ready for day one. So the length of the contract is there to provide a return on the investment for the supplier. In terms of the performance side of the contract, this contract has been built with very specific KPIs, so we call them service level agreements within this council. We've got very stringent requirements on those. We've got the ability to review those monthly, and quarterly we have financial penalties or rewards based on the level of performance. We also have year-to-date rewards, and we have a financial bonus essentially that will be enacted if the contract performs well across 3 of the 4 periods. Now, I'll just point out, when I say penalties and bonuses, the way these contracts are structured, without getting into too many details, is that we will hold a portion of the payments until they've performed at the level that we need them to be. Only then will we release that payment.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? None. Do I have a mover? Councillor McLendon, moving.
Chair, I'll move item 5.3, the contract 26-25 agricultural services, and the officer's recommendation as.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Lindberg. Councillor McLendon, do you wish to speak?
Yes, Chair. I went on this on a platform of doing the basics brilliantly in this city. I think collectively we have pursued this in many areas, but not least, particularly with our grassing, our mowing contracts, which we had a change of contract last year in February, and I think the city is seeing the benefits of that. I have full confidence that our officers and the organisation follow due diligence in terms of the incentive that I just outlined, and also for the service level agreements. And I think the 10-year contract demonstrates that this company is going to be serious and work alongside us and with us, and also with those incentives attached on an annual basis. I think we can't, sort of tightens the net in terms of making sure that KPIs, etc., are reached. But I've seen in the last almost 2 years that we've been here, that things have improved markedly because we have representations and local representatives for each ward back here in the chambers. So I fully support this. I'm excited. That's it. Excited. Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Lindberg, you're the seconder.
I don't know whether I'm excited, but I have to agree. Since the trial went into place, I've received feedback from our community that lawns are being mowed and weeds are being pulled and trees are being trimmed and all of the good stuff. So I think this is a fantastic outcome, and I appreciate the effort that the executive and council staff have put into this motion, which I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Chair. I couldn't agree with my colleagues more when we state that the simple things to get right are important to our community. We do care about making sure that our lawns are mowed, and we do care about our parks and open spaces, that they're well maintained. So it's great that we continue to have officers that bring such high quality work before us and provide us with the confidence that we're going to have that high quality work going into the future. So I do think the officers for the work that they've done in preparing this contract, and I look forward to the long-term partnership that we're going to have in this space for the next 10 years as we continue to maintain our trees and green spaces. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Now, in relation to item 5.4, this needs to be deferred to a future meeting to allow officers to conduct further due diligence on the matter due to the information that was provided at late notice. And I've spoken to each councillor prior to the start of the meeting to advise you of this. So therefore, I require a motion for council to resolve to defer the awarding of the contract 2025-49 for the Asset Management Information System to a future council meeting. Do I have a mover? Councillor Stowe. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Taylor. It's basically a procedural motion, so I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And it's carried unanimously. Cool. 5.5, contract 2478, road and other civil works panel contract tender evaluation. I'll hand over to Arishdeep Singh, the Acting Director of Infrastructure and Environment, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. I'm joined by Nick Mazzarella, Manager of Capital Delivery. We are here to present contract 2024-78, road and other civil works panel contract, and seek Council's approval to award the contract. The proposed panel contract comprises 3 parts, will support the delivery of Council's annual local road resurfacing rehab programs, along with a broad range of civil infrastructure projects. The contract is to be awarded for an initial period of 4 years, commencing in August 26, plus an option to extend the contract for up to 3 years. I'll now hand over to Nick to take us through the report.
Thank you, Arishdeep, and good evening, councillors. The purpose of this report is to seek Council's approval to award contract number 2024-78, road and other civil works panel contract. Establishing a panel of providers aims to effectively deliver the required works program while balancing best value for money for the community. The proposed panel contract will support the delivery of a range of road and civil infrastructure works, including local road resurfacing and rehabilitation programs, car park improvements, drainage and stormwater infrastructure upgrades, bus shelter installations, accessibility improvements to car parking areas and curb ramps, on-road bicycle facilities, public lighting, traffic management and traffic control devices, which include things like pedestrian-operated signals and roundabouts, road safety barriers and footpaths and shared paths. Following a competitive request for tender process, a number of qualified and experienced contractors are recommended to be appointed to non-exclusive panels for the provision of road and civil infrastructure works, ensuring continuity of service following the expiry of the existing panel contracts. The contract is for an initial period of 4 years, with an option to extend the contract for up to 2 further years, subject to satisfactory performance and future approved budget allocations. This report provides information on the diligent and thorough tender evaluation conducted in accordance with Council's procurement policy. The panel contract comprises 3 parts. Part A, asphalting and ancillary works. Part B, road reconstruction and other civil works. Part C, road safety barriers. It is important to note that no appointments are recommended for one of the categories under Part B. There are 3 categories. Category 3 is the one that we're seeking no appointments, simply because no tenderers satisfied the mandatory pre-qualification requirement from the Department of Planning and Transport. A tender probity and evaluation plan was prepared prior to tendering of the panel contract, which preset the evaluation criteria and weightings. More importantly, due to the complexity and aggregate scale of the future contracts, RSM Australia was appointed as Council's probity advisor to oversee the end-to-end tender process. The tender evaluation process and panel contract recommendations were endorsed by RSM Australia. The tender evaluation panel recommends the appointment of selected tenderers for the road and civil works panel contract as listed in the recommendation section of the Council report. Full details of the tender evaluation process are outlined in the report, with confidential pricing information in the confidential attachments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you. If for some unforeseen reason all of the suppliers are unavailable, what happens?
As I mentioned before, Councillor, this is a non-exclusive panel. We can any time go to public tender. So if we don't get enough submissions from requests for pricing, we can always go to public tender.
Yes, Lizzie.
Thank you, officers. My question is in relation to the procurement policy and the criteria. How many of these businesses are local? Can you have that declared to us? Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. I can inform you that about 66% of the submitted tenderers were local tenderers.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do I have a mover? Councillor Labrador. Moving.
Chief Officer recommendation passes on the screen.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Lappin. Councillor Labrador, do you wish to speak?
I do not. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Lappin is the second.
No, thanks, Chair. All good.
Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor England.
Yeah, I'd love to, Chair.
Thank you.
You're excited, right?
Not as much as the previous one, but this is good. We've been done this one. No, it's probably more of a point. I think the Liberals said they're going to put $5 billion to 1 million potholes, and that equals about $5,000 per pothole. So we're getting a pretty good deal here compared to the money that's been dedicated on this. So I haven't figured that out. But look, once again, I think due diligence has been fulfilled, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next 4 years making sure that we do our part. And if our officers do have the courage, they can pass the phone number of this contract onto the state government. That'd be fantastic. They can do the same with the state roads. That's all. Not political at all.
No. Any other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. It's carried unanimously. Item 5.6. Sorry.
We're doing it in public.
So there's confidential parts to this confidential information is disclosed.
So are we going to go in confidential for the sake of?
Yes.
Sorry, there was just a quick clarification. Because there was confidential information associated with the contracts, this is part of the process that we've agreed to, that in the briefing, we don't normally have a full briefing on the process, but the information is available for councillors to ask questions. But in terms of the confidential information that's not disclosed is commercial in confidence materials, which are supplied to council under the confidential agenda items in your documents on tap, and full process in relation to any other matters are full confidential in camera, and we'll pass a resolution to that effect. Is that helpful? Thank you. Right, sorry. Where am I? 5.6. Contract 2026-30, construction of the Derby Meadows Kindergarten. I'll hand over to Arishdeep Singh, the Acting Director of Infrastructure and Environment, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. I'm joined by Nume Farouk, Unit Manager, Community Infrastructure Delivery. We are here to present Contract 2026-30, construction of Derby Meadows Kindergarten, and seek approval of the contract for the construction of Derby Meadows Kindergarten and Maternal and Child Health Facility in Epping. The contract will deliver the demolition of two existing buildings and construction of a new integrated facility, enabling council to improve its services in the area. Now I'll pass on to Nume to take us through the report.
Thank you, Chief, and good evening, councillors. The purpose of this report is to seek approval of the contract number 202630 for the construction of Derby Meadows Kindergarten and Child Health Facility in Epping. The contract will deliver the demolition of two existing buildings and construction of a new integrated facility. The new purpose-built facility will include two kindergarten rooms, 5 consult rooms, 2 multipurpose rooms, planning offices, staff amenities, car park, landscaping and associated services work. A request for tender was seeking experienced and qualified contractors was publicly released on 14th of April and closed on 14th of May 2026. We received an overwhelming response and 19 tenders were received. Following the evaluation, the preferred tender was identified. The preferred tender is the highest ranked and most effectively based on the offering the best overall value to council, and they demonstrated a strong understanding of the project objectives, scope requirements and operational needs of an early years facility. Their submission provided a well-considered methodology, an experienced project team, a clear delivery strategy that instilled confidence in their ability to successfully deliver these works within the required time frame and the budget. All the details of the evaluation process and procedure are in the confidential attachment. The recommendation as outlined in the report is that that council resolved to award the contract number 202630 to Do Construct Private Limited for the provision of construction of Derby Meadows Kindergarten at a cost of $6,369,469, subject to the following conditions. Contractor providing contract security and proof of currency of insurance cover as required in the tender documents. Price variations to be in accordance with the provisions as set out in the conditions of the contract. The second recommendation is approval of the funding arrangement as detailed in the attachment 1. And the third recommendation is to authorize the acting chief executive officer to sign and execute the contract on behalf of council.
Thank you. Any questions? Again, any questions? No, thank you. Do I have a mover? Councillor Caldwell. Seconder. Councillor Tawari. Okay, Councillor Caldwell, you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I wasn't intending on speaking on this particular agenda item, but I will make the point that obviously infrastructure which provides access to young people and children having the best start is very important. So having kindergarten infrastructure accessible within the community, 3 and 4 year old, or is it 4 and 3 and 4 year old? Thank you. I'm looking at my colleague to make sure I've got the ages correct. Is really important. So although this is specifically talking about that infrastructure, I think it enables some really important work around children sort of getting the best start to life. So I'm glad to support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Tawari, you wish to speak?
Thanks, Chair.
Any other speakers? Councillor Zinni.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm really glad to see that Derby Meadows is getting this extremely needed break. Working at Derby Meadows a few years back, I could see as soon as I walked in that it needed that real development. So I want to congratulate the officers and everyone that's looked into the tenders for this particular site, and congratulate the company to construct, and hopefully it will come to plan and the children love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. 5.7, contract 2026-35, the construction of the Dalton Road kindergarten. And I'll hand over again to Arishdeep Singh, Acting Director of Infrastructure and Environment, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. I've got new mayor again with me. We are to present contract 2026-35, construction of Dalton Road kindergarten, and seek approval to award the contract for construction of Dalton Road kindergarten and maternal and child health facility in Thomastown. The contract will deliver the demolition of 2 existing buildings and construction of a new integrated facility, enabling council to improve its services for both early learning and MCH in the area. Now I'll pass on to new mayor to take us through the report.
Thanks, Arishdeep, and good evening again, councillors. This report is also to seek approval for the award of the contract of construction of Dalton Road kindergarten and maternal child health facility in Thomastown. This contract will deliver the demolition of 2 existing buildings and the construction of a new integrated facility. The new purpose-built facility will include 2 kindergarten rooms, 3 MCH consult rooms, multi-purpose space with kitchen facilities, staff amenities, car park, landscaping and associated services works. A request for tender was publicly released on 30th of April and the tender was closed on 20th of May 2026 and attracted a strong response. Overall, 17 tenders were received. The recommended tender offered the most competitive submission, achieving the highest overall score. They were deemed to offer the best value for money based on their demonstrated capability and capacity to deliver the project in accordance with council's specified scope and quality requirements. The recommendation as outlined in the report are that council resolve to award contract number 2026-35 to Constructive Group Private Limited for the provision of construction services for Dalton Kindergarten Road at a cost of $5,523,050. Subject to the following conditions: contractor providing contract security and proof of currency of insurance cover as required in the tender documents, and also price variations to be in accordance with the provisions as set out in the conditions of the contract. Second recommendation is to approve the funding arrangements as detailed in the confidential attachment 1. And the third recommendation is to authorize the acting chief executive officer to sign and execute the contract on behalf of council.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Zen?
Thank you, officers, for that presentation. My question is in relation to the car parking. Because it is on a major Dalton Road, I'd like to know what the additional amount of car parking has been allocated for this.
15 new car parks. So this is in accordance with the traffic requirements and the traffic studies which were conducted in the area. So there will be an addition in the car parking.
Any other questions? I was actually, I have to say, I was thinking of that car park because I was trying to remember when the building was built, because the car park to the left of it was actually the access point for the Nightman for most of those properties for many years. So, any other questions? None? Sorry, Councillor Gold?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm just looking at the car parking plan and just...
Thank you. Is there any other, sorry. Move the recommendation. Councillor Tawari, thank you. And second, sorry, Councillor, you've got to stress what you're moving, please.
Yeah. I would like to move the officer's recommendation as is.
And Councillor Labrador seconding it. So, Councillor Tawari, you wish to speak?
Not much, just excited about this project. Being a newly elected councillor for Thomastown, it will provide additional spaces for people in the area. So yeah, a welcome move. Thank you.
Well done on the first one. And Councillor Labrador is the second.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I too am excited. I'm excited for more parking spaces. I'm excited for a better entryway because the entryway into the kindergarten there and the maternal child health nurse there it's a bit of a schmozzle. So I'm keen to see this new development and hopefully bring my new child there because that has been our maternal child health nurse for the past 2 years that we've had. So keen to see a third there. Thanks, Chair.
Any other speakers? Anybody else want to be excited? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5.8, which is a contract variation, 2022-34, the parks and playground equipment. Again, I'll hand over to Arishdeep Singh, the Acting Director of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you, Chair. I'm joined by Nick again. We are here to present contract variation 2022-34 MAV Parks and Playground Equipment and seek approval to increase the contract cap from just over 2 mil excluding GST to 3 million excluding GST and extend contract till 31st January 2027. This contract will allow council to purchase park and playground equipment through the MAV panel approved suppliers for delivery of our annual park and playground program and will help in council with the efficiencies for both time and cost. So now I'll pass on to Nick to take us through.
Thank you, Aristide, and good evening, councillors again. Contract 2022-34 allows council to purchase park and playground equipment through the Municipal Association of Victoria and their panel contract for approved supplies for the delivery of the annual park and playground renewal program. Purchases of park and playground equipment through this contract significantly reduces the lead time for the delivery of park and playground projects. The rates provided by the playground suppliers through the MAV panel contract are also very competitive due to their bulk purchasing power, saving council up to 14% on equipment costs. During the contract period to date, the various contractors appointed have performed satisfactorily, and the MAV panel contract continues to represent good value for money against the services provided. This report proposes that contract 2022-34 is varied to accommodate purchases of park and playground equipment intended to be delivered during the 26-27 financial year up to the 31st of January 2027. In addition, the current financial cap of $2,181,818.18 excluding GST is proposed to be increased. In summary, the report recommends that council exercises the final 12-month optional extension period for the MAV contract up to the 31st of January, increase the expenditure cap to $3,078,181.82 excluding GST, and finally to delegate to the Acting Chief Executive Officer to issue a letter to the MAV to extend the contract term to 31st of January 2027. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any questions? None. Thanks for the report. Do I have a mover? Councillor Gunn. Do I have moving?
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation as it appears on the screen.
Have a seconder? Councillor Lindbergh. Councillor Gunn, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Contracts are not one of the most exciting things to deal with. I'll just stick with the theme of tonight. But when we start talking about asset renewal and children's playground equipment, it starts to get exciting. And the other really exciting thing about these sorts of contracts with the MAV panels is that there is bulk buying power, and I like fiscal responsibility. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lindbergh, seconder.
No, thank you, Chair. Councillor Gunn has said it all. Well done.
Any other speakers? Councillor Stone.
Just want to clarify, it says resolve to increase the contract cap from 2.181 million to $3,078. Is that a typo?
Sorry, repeat.
Point 2.
Yep.
Says resolve to increase the contract cap from 2.181.181
It's a comma, yeah, it's a comma, it's supposed to be a comma instead of a full stop.
3.07, so it should be.
3.07.
It should be changed.
That's correct on the screen.
It's on the screen.
Oh, okay. Sorry?
It's on the screen apparently.
That's correct on the screen. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No other speakers? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Have to call it. Councillor Tuari, Councillor Labrador, Councillor Lindbergh, Councillor Zinni, Councillor Cole, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Gunn. Those against? All those abstaining? Councillor McLendon. Thank you. The motion is carried. And we now move to item 5.9, which is the governance report. And I'll ask it to be taken as read because the acting officer is probably a little bit caught short in terms of the information, but that's not to say it's not correct information. So, is there any questions? Councillor Stowe?
Just wondering, I understand what you're saying about the governance report, but there is an audit and risk report there. So I was wondering if any of the councillors who attend the audit and risk committee can speak to that. Do they have any feedback on the audit and risk committee?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, one, it'd be probably better at a briefing, but secondly, if one of the councillors who is in attendance wishes to be a mover or a seconder of the recommendation, obviously there'll be an opportunity to speak at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, is it comfortable with that? Good. Sorry, any other questions? None. Mover, please. Councillor Labrador. Seconder. Councillor Lappin. And sorry, you were moving, yes, apologies.
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation as is on the screen.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak?
Just one comment. I'd like to thank the governance team for shortening the report. It's great. Thanks.
Sure, take that on board. Okay, second was Councillor Lappin. Nothing? Any other speakers? All those, sorry, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving to item 6, notices of motion. There are no notices of motion. Councillors, are there any items of urgent business? No. The acting CEO, do you have any items of urgent business?
No, Chair.
Thank you. I'll move now to reports of council representatives and the acting CEO's update. And I'll remind you, as I did last week, please try and keep it to activities rather than statements. That's the purpose of the report. Thank you. Councillor Colvin.
Thank you, Chair. So it's been a very busy period since our last formal council meeting. So I was able to attend the City of Willoughby Business Awards on the 25th of June, where I shared a table with the ladies that lift. Ultimately, they were successful in taking out the award for the small business award for 2026, and it was a really great evening. I enjoyed their company. I also participated in a panel, a community safety panel forum on the 29th of June, which was hosted at Kalinak Reserve in Blossom Park. And also attended the Willoughby Aboriginal Gathering Place, where we had the NAIDOC Week celebrations on the 3rd of July in partnerships with VARS. I also attended the Aurora the Dark event on the 3rd of July, and I was quite overwhelmed with the amount of people that attended that event, and indeed the traffic that were milling around the community activity centre there. It was a really great event, and indeed when I arrived, some of the staff were saying, we're not quite sure how many people turn up. We'll find out. Well, we know now, it's quite a lot. On the 5th of July, I attended the Bath Rudder Yatta Festival, or Chariot Celebration, and that was at Meadowglen Athletics Track, and it was a great event. And finally, another march on the 10th of July, which is a great event also, and great to join the community and see plenty of love out. Closing out NAIDOC Week was a Billy Young cultural program and mural painting at Layla Tennis Club on the 12th of July. And on the 14th of July, I attended the Punt Hill Salt Turning at University Hill, which will see the delivery of 92 studios, 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. And I know the importance of delivering those apartments in that precinct, being so close to RMIT, and also a really significant precinct. On Saturday, the 18th of July, I attended the Ashline Street Community Consultation discussing the importance of well-integrated social and affordable housing. And on a personal note, on Sunday, I attended my nephew's 100th game for, I believe it was the DVFL, so it was a really important event. I guess on reflection, when you think about it, going to a football event and chatting with the other lads, I think it really strikes home without striking a sore point, but obviously a really sensitive issue. When you attend a football match and you participate in those activities, no one expects that such a tragic event. So I'm being sensitive in this space, but it really strikes home about how much it's touched our whole community, how much it was a piece of conversation on the day. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, and I'll pass to the next councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Zini.
Thanks, Chair. This month I attended the opening of the newly renovated Thomastown Library with the Local Government Minister Paul Hammer and Thomastown Member of Parliament Roblin Halfpenny. I also attended the July citizenship ceremonies and welcomed our new residents to our community. I also was in attendance at the Nathan Fitzgerald Vigil at Epping Reserve, and I paid my respects to the family, and I was extremely moved by the bravery of his father. I've also received community concerns regarding the proposed data centres, and I want to assure the residents that Council is aware of the issues being raised. We are listening carefully to the community, and all feedback will be considered as Council continues to assess the matter and determine the most appropriate position moving forward. And I would also encourage community residents, especially in the South Baring area, who wish to make their views known, to write to the Minister of Planning. As the Minister is the one that plays the key role in planning decisions on these matters, it is imperative that you speak to write to them first. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Zini. Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Chair. I also attended the Business Awards, and I sat with IFAS, who won the Innovation Enterprise Award and also Business of the Year. It's always really interesting how businesses get to where they are. They didn't start out in concrete, but ended up in concrete and have come up with some innovative ways to be able to install it and have aeroplanes fly across it within a certain amount of time. So it was fascinating, and thank you very much for having me at the table. This month I also met with the Rainbow Committee at the City of Whittlesea. I went to listen, learn and to understand what support is most needed for some of the most marginalised members of our community. The committee is diverse and it brings together a wide range of lived experience about the challenges people face every day. One story shared with me was particularly powerful. A community group organised an event at a local library. The event was advertised online, as you would expect of any community group. What followed was a wave of threats, intimidation and hate speech, all stemming from misunderstanding and misinformation. People who simply wanted to gather, to connect and to be themselves were instead exposed to fear and hostility. That is not acceptable in our community. Everyone in the City of Whittlesea deserves to feel safe, respected and supported. You do not need to fully understand what someone else is going through to recognise that they are a person with their own challenges, their own journey and their own humanity. Their challenges may be different from yours, but without support, love and understanding, their path becomes much harder. I implore the broader community to open your arms around those who are different. Allow them to be themselves and to contribute to the rich diversity of Whittlesea. The stories I hear are heartbreaking and no one should have to face that kind of treatment. It is up to every single person to be kind, to be supportive and to treat everyone with respect. Sorry, I'm getting upset because the stories were incredible. To those on council who have opposed the Rainbow Committee in the City of Whittlesea, I ask you to attend a meeting. Sit with the members, listen to their stories. You will see that everyone in that room is just a person trying to make their way in life. Compassion costs nothing. Understanding takes time. But together we can build a community where everyone belongs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding the past month in terms of activities, I attended alongside yourself, Chair, and Mr Deputy Mayor at the Bel-Air mural painting at Wall Tennis Club. It was good to see all the kids paint the wall and the mural, so that was really nice. I got to meet with Evan Mulholland MP for the Upper House a couple of weeks ago, and we got to chat about some issues in the lead up to obviously the state election, and lo and behold, we've got the $500 million investment into Donnybrook Road, so yes. So you can thank me. No, don't thank me. No, but no, thanks. Look, it's good to see some investment up there, and obviously chatted about some other issues, and obviously got some meetings in the future as well with other MPs. I got to host Brendan and Zippy at my house for tea. Brendan and Zippy Murphy from Bread Hub Victoria. I know there was, they've been interacting with us for quite a bit over the past few months regarding homelessness outreach, and yeah, I just wanted to laud them and applaud them for the work that they're doing in maintaining the dignity of people who are homeless, and I'd like to additionally thank them for the work that they do in collaborating with Warm just across the border in Banyule City Council. So yeah, thanks to the Murphys, they're a great team. I'd like to apologise to Councillor Tawari. I missed the oath and affirmation of office, but I will say I did attend the VEC declaration, but you went there, so I reckon we're equal. Lastly, I got to attend a community safety forum in Mill Park, and there's a few MPs in attendance, and yeah, it was, and I was alongside Councillor Zinni and Councillor Taylor and Councillor McClendon and Councillor Stowe. Yeah, it was an interesting meeting, to say the least. Oh, sorry, and Mr Deputy Mayor. Jeez. There's too many people, too many dignitaries. Too many dignitaries. So, look, it was an interesting meeting, but I think it was good to see people engaging with their MPs and their local representatives on this issue of community safety. And that's my month.
Thank you. Councillor Tawari.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to take this opportunity to provide a brief update since being officially sworn in as a councillor on the 3rd of July 2025. Firstly, to start off, thank you, Councillor Labrador, for attending my declaration while I was away in the US. So, following my swearing in, I participated in a week-long induction with the acting CEO, the executive leadership team, and the senior officers. I must say I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. The week went incredibly quickly and was both enriching and informative. I gained a much deeper understanding of the Council's role, our services, governance, responsibilities, and the work undertaken across the organisation. And I appreciate it far more. I also attended 2 councillor briefing sessions, which have further strengthened my understanding and helped me prepare for the role. I would like to sincerely thank our acting CEO, the ELT, and all council staff for the support, guidance, and warm welcome I received since joining the council. I'm truly grateful for the time and assistance all of you have provided to me, which has made my transition into the role smooth and enjoyable. I would also like to thank my fellow councillors for the kindness and support they have shown. I appreciate them as they have gone the extra mile to make me feel welcome and ensure that I've settled into the role comfortably. I would particularly like to thank Councillor Cole for making me the caretaker of the message stick made by Michelle Hook, Unit Manager, Aboriginal Communities team. Over the past few weeks, I have also had the opportunity to speak with a number of residents across the municipality, and it has been valuable to hear directly from our community about the issues that matter the most to them, and I've been working with the council team to help address those concerns. It has also been a pleasure attending a number of community events, including Aurora After Dark in Wollert, the Rath Yatra celebrations hosted by BABS, the Tia Festival at Heritage. I've also enjoyed connecting with the local sporting clubs, including Thomastown Bears, and I look forward to engaging with many more clubs and community organisations throughout the municipality. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. So yes, it has been busy since we last had our meeting. I attended the Australian Local Government General Assembly in Canberra, and it was quite interesting listening to a lot of debate on motions that were being put up for a vote. It was great to network with other councillors during lunch and at one of the after-hour events. I also had
Councillor Stowe.
Sorry?
And coffee with Councillor
And
Stowe.
coffee with Councillor Stowe, correct, and Councillor Lappin. I also had the chance to go to question time and catch up with a couple of the federal members. Like some of my fellow councillors, I attended the Aurora After Dark opening, seeing some of our great local artists and the activation of community space. I also attended the Rath Yatra celebrations with BAPS again this year. This is probably one of my favourite events, with lots of loud music, colourful outfits, dancing and energy during the main procession. And yes, a number of councillors were spotted dancing along the way, and I've even made up my own name for one of the dances, which was the Indian Nutbush. And no, I will not show you how to do it. I attended the United Sri Lankan Muslim Association of Australia Sri Lankan Ladies Luncheon. This was a women's only event, and it was a fundraiser to provide assistance to disadvantaged women and girls in the central province of Sri Lanka. This was a wonderful showcase of women supporting women. It was beautiful to see some of the participants at the lunch that have benefited from those fundraising efforts. It was also an honour to meet 4 generations of one family that have been providing support to the Sri Lankan Muslim Association of Australia. It was, again, a wonderful celebration of traditional outfits, lots of music and dancing and good food enjoyed by all, and I look forward to doing it again next year, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McLendon.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome to Councillor Chalmers-Murray and for your contributions to date, and I'm really glad that you've found the experience enjoyable so far, and let's hope it continues that way. It's been a solid 4 weeks, so we'll keep going, that's good. The community grants are open, as people may know, as from now, getting early. They close 30th of April next year, and there is a community grants workshop, a grant writing workshop That's only $5, and that's going to be at Tuesday, the 11th of August at the Galata Community Centre at 6 p.m. So I suggest that will be 500 cents of a good investment. You'll get that in tea and coffee if you don't decide to pursue, but I would get in early. So community groups can't complain that the same ones keep getting them if they don't end up getting them. Also like to acknowledge the Youth Council. I think some of them have still in the public gallery now and working out what to do and what not to do and getting ready for the election probably in the future, but their contribution so far has been fantastic. Many of them are well beyond their years, and I think the future's in very good hands once we either move on or lose our awards in the future. The Small Business Awards, unfortunately, I was unable to attend them, but I have heard very good things from the businesses that did attend. And please, if there's a message we can get out, as Councillor Labrador said, we are open for business. We have unprecedented growth here, huge opportunities, great to raise your family. And if anyone is considering, amongst all the regulations and red tape of all tiers of government, please consider Whittlesea, because I think it's got great things to offer in the future. And I will finish off with a pretty funny story, and no names will be used in this story, but as I was door knocking in a certain suburb, one gentleman was going off about how a cat keeps coming over to his face and it's not registered, there's nothing on it, etc. And I spoke about 5 minutes, that was fine. Most people are usually pretty happy. They've only got small issues, usually. And then about 10 doors later, the lady was saying that her cat was missing. and she wasn't sure whether to call the pound and whether or not she'd get in trouble. So anyway, at the end of it, I put a nice little letter in the other person's letterbox to see where they might be able to find it. So hopefully they'll resolve that. And if they are listening to that, just do the right thing and everyone's happy. Other than that, there's, outside of that, everything seems to be going pretty good in the ward of Curib. And nothing more to report on, Chief. Thank you. Councillor
Thank you, Chair. So last weekend, I joined the Darabin Creek Management Committee and Urban Gorillas for a planting day in Wollert. It was a joint effort between those two groups, which brought us young people together to plant around the creek and restore the land there. We actually finished the planting about an hour early, so everyone was just absolutely smashing it there, and the group did really well. So I'm hoping that every single month I've got an update that I did a tree planting. I'm keeping that going so far. So that was really good. That was a great event. I also attended the National General Assembly in Canberra with yourself, Mayor, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Stone, Executive Manager for Affairs, Jenny Morgan. This was a pretty fascinating event. It was my first time attending the national conference. And it was amazing to see just how similar our issues were despite being from very different parts of Australia. There were, of course, small differences between larger and smaller councils, rural and regional ones. But the overall feeling and want was for local government to have a more prominent seat at the table for planning changes and also large projects like data centres, more sustainable funding and better coordination and management of climate risks and also disaster relief. Meeting councils from all over Australia was also very inspiring, and I can tell residents here and all over Australia that the level of government working the hardest for people to achieve great outcomes is local government, and I hope that this sector can get the support it needs from other levels to keep up the great work they're doing. We also had coffee with council this month in Mernda as well. Went down to the Garnies there, had a coffee there. I think I had 3 coffees there actually. Had some great conversations there, particularly about a certain aquatic project in Mernda, but also some great insights into safety infrastructure around some great parks as well. So really good there. I had a great time there and looking forward to the next coffee with council. Just lastly too, it was also great to catch up with our State Member for Yanyi, Lauren Cathage, to promote the recent $1 million contribution from the state towards safety infrastructure and traffic calming measures along Regent Street in Mernda. The speeding and safety issues in that street there was a real issue. I was getting feedback and emails from that. So it's great to see that issue being recognised and a solution being put forward. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. Similar to Councillor Coleman, Zini and Gunn also attended some of the events that they attended. And Councillor Lemberg, I'm reminded of the statement you made about the business awards, and there's an old mafia statement that says that some people don't start out to end up in concrete, but they do. I'd also like to say that I've attended numerous council events, council briefings, council meetings, and while remaining actively engaged in representing the South Morang ward and serving the wider city of Whittlesea, my focus has remained on the matters most to my community. They are community safety, responsible financial management, sound governance, community engagement, cost of living concerns, effective collaboration, and ensuring that I contribute to council's decisions that are informed, transparent and made in the best interests of our municipality. Community safety remains one of my highest priorities because it's one of the most significant and consistently raised concerns expressed to me by residents. People want to feel safe in their homes, safe at work, on their streets and throughout our community. And I sincerely thank those residents who regularly contact me to inform me of crimes, identify emerging safety trends and seek practical information. I take every report seriously. The information residents provide me gives me a clear understanding of what is occurring across our neighbourhoods and directly informs my advocacy in representations to Council, the Victoria Police and other agencies. I continue to respond to residents' inquiries, meet directly with the community members, listen carefully to their concerns and see firsthand the issues affecting them as we've discussed on some occasions tonight. Every inquiry mattered because every resident deserves to know their voice is being heard. Their concerns are being taken seriously and their interests are being properly represented. In preparing for council meetings, I carefully review the agenda reports, supporting documentation, the legislation and the relevant background material. Because to me, good decision making requires preparation, research and asking the right questions, testing the evidence and exercising sound judgment. As a board member for the Yarra Plenty Regional Library, I continue to support the important work our libraries in education, literacy, digital inclusion and lifelong learning. I've also contributed advocating for stronger action against illegal rubbish dumping, improved enforcement and greater accountability for those who damage the neighbourhood and our public places. Later this month, I'll be a keynote speaker at another event addressing this issue for the need for stronger and more coordinated action. I've also been invited to attend another secondary school to speak to VCE legal studies students. I'm looking forward to sharing that practical insight with my legal and public service experience and supporting students as they develop their understanding of the law, government and civic responsibility. To me, strong governance is the foundation of public confidence. It delivers better services, stronger infrastructure, responsible financial management and ensures that ratepayer dollars are being spent wisely and in the best interests of our community. I encourage residents to continue to follow my council Facebook page, to stay informed of the work that I am doing and the issues that I'm advocating for and the outcomes that I'm working to achieve on your behalf. As your councillor, I continue listening, engaging, advocating and working diligently to deliver positive outcomes for the residents of the South Morang Ward and the wider city of Whittlesea. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor State.
Thank you, Chair. So over the last month, I've continued to meeting with residents, community organisations and stakeholders across my ward to better understand their issues, questions and advocate for our growing communities and make informed decisions on behalf of residents. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Councillor Tawari. It's nice to see you here at the table. I find a little bit, not sure if I believe that it's enjoyable to do the induction. I just wonder who paid you to do that, to say that. I'd like to extend my condolences to the family and friends of Nathan Fitzgerald and the Epping community, the Epping football community, having grown up in the local area, many people that I know from Epping Football Club. I chose not to attend the vigil, but I was devastated to hear of his passing. I chose not to attend, wanting to allow the family and the wider community their space to mourn. I spent time in Whittlesea meeting with residents and attending the award-winning bakery to sample the sausage rolls, which are really yummy. Donnybrook Road, I attended the announcement by the Victorian Liberal Transport announcement, Opposition Leader Jess Wilson and Shadow Minister Evan Mulholland about the announcement that they're going to put $500 million, $524 million to duplicate the entire 8 kilometre section of Donnybrook Road from Epping Road to Dwyer Street in Calcutta, together with the removal of the Donnybrook Railway Station level crossing if elected. So I think all the times that I mentioned Donnybrook Road's paid off. I've consistently advocated for improved infrastructure in Donnybrook and a rapidly growing municipality. I also attended the National General Assembly in Canberra, along with Councillor Cox, Councillor Gunn and Councillor Lappin, and did enjoy coffee every morning with Councillor Gunn and Councillor Lappin. We got to chat about things. The conference brought together councillors from across Australia to discuss the major issues facing our councils, and there was a lot of discussion about swimming pools, funnily enough. Financial sustainability and disability inclusion was a theme of the conference, which is close to my heart, of course. And during the conference, I attended a number of policy debates and presentations, visited Federal Parliament, and met with exhibitors including Redbox and Grants Guru to explore new technologies and funding opportunities which could be beneficial to the City of Whittlesea. One of the highlights of the conference was hearing from the disability advocate and television personality Michael Theo, whose presentation reinforced the importance of creating communities where everyone belongs. I also attended the Community Safety Forum at Kalinak, and there was a variety of views that were posted there, which was very helpful. I also attended the Aurora After Dark event, which was crazy. There were people everywhere. And the art was amazing too. It was a fantastic event, and I was really pleased to see the activation of the Aurora venue. I've continued to field questions on Grants Road, and I've also had questions and complaints about the data centres being set up, and I, as Councillor Zinni suggested, urge people to direct their questions to the Planning Minister. And the Brookwood Community Centre, I consulted widely as I could on that issue so that I could get the best outcome or make the best decision that I could on that. Also chaired my last meeting as the chair of the Epping Cemetery Trust in the last month. So that was a really worthwhile meeting where we met with the community advisory committee as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. My update goes back to a number of business events and other events I've attended as mayor. There was an activation of Stone Ambassador in the McMullen property, which was held on the same day as the refugee function, where the Deputy Mayor stood in for me. But it was also important to engage with the business community in terms of the Epping site that has now been activated. The awards that we talked about before, the Australasian Awards, it was an entertaining night that myself and Sarah Olgan attended in Sydney, where we had a number of people from Indonesia at our table. So it was a full Australasian event in terms of Philippines, Indonesia, as well as a number of local councils, and a number of local councils took out awards, which was very good. We had the Whittlesea Chinese Association 20th anniversary dinner, celebrating their 20 years of operation. The National General Assembly, which was talked about. I also attended the National Local Government Council on the Monday, which was an invitation only through the government to the mayors. And we've had several briefings over the month as well, incorporating both sitting and candidates for the Greens Party, sitting members of the Labor Party, an independent from Bundoora. The Liberal Party has been invited and will be attending as a group, and we met a number of their new candidates at a function, the Possum Dansala at Cindy's Restaurant, where I spoke to a number of them, and they're all been invited to be briefed on our advocacy policy. The afternoon was at the BAPS, the Chariots, which we've been talked about, where a number of councillors also attended. And the Northern Council Alliance, I've attended a number of meetings, but also presented to the Metropolitan Transport Forum on their behalf in terms of the Upfield Railway Line and the Wollert Railway Line arguments. I met with U3A in terms of their ongoing programs. I attended the Balliyang Cultural Mural Festival and the Gardens activation at the Walla Tennis Club, which was good, which has been referred to by Councillor Labrador and Councillor Cole. Going back to business, the Punt Hill Apartments have both opened in Epping at the new Epping site, but also in Uni Hill. Both the Deputy Mayor and myself attended the sod turning there the other week. That's going to be a 72-room apartment building. And last Sunday, we had the Ashline Street Affordable Housing meeting. It wasn't well attended, but it was filmed so that we can pass it on to anyone that missed the opportunity. But we took the opportunity to consult and be transparent with the community, which we've done at all stages, and we explained that. And hopefully that information gets out. I think it was good because our staff had actually presented 500 letters into the local residents explaining it. And one of the comments I got back was the information actually answered a lot of their questions, so therefore they didn't bother turning up on the Sunday. Anyhow, we were there. And then we had the afternoon playing pickleball.
I forgot pickleball.
Councillor Starr and I attended the pickleball competition, a tri-series competition at the Whittlesea Secondary Basketball Stadium. A nice event between the Craigieburn, Sunbury and Whittlesea clubs. I declined to play. I tried to encourage Councillor Stowe, she wouldn't get it.
I was on a timeline.
Anyhow, that's it for me. So I now move to the acting CEO. It's all yours.
Thank you, Chair. I am pleased to share that the children and families are already benefiting from the Werrigeri Kindergarten in Wollert, with the new facility now open and welcoming its first students. The purpose-built kindergarten features 3 modern learning rooms and currently provides places for 59 children. So this gives more families, local families, access to quality early childhood education close to home. The project was funded by the Victorian Government, with the council receiving support from the Victorian Schools Building Authority for the fit-out. Also pleased to report the recent upgrades at the Thomastown Library are now complete, making the library more accessible, comfortable and welcoming for everyone who visits it. The project included replacing ageing toilets with 4 all-gender and accessible toilets and a family change room. New energy-efficient LED lighting has also been installed throughout the library, while the foyer has been refreshed with new flooring and entry matting. Jointly funded by Council and the Victorian Government through the Living Libraries Infrastructure Program, the $757,000 project will help ensure Thomastown Library continues to provide an inclusive and welcoming space for our community. It's also fantastic to see the new sports lighting now in place at Mill Park Lakes Recreation Reserve, creating more opportunities for local clubs, players and the broader community to enjoy the reserve. The upgrade delivered modern LED lighting with new light towers, and this was funded by the Victorian Government and Council and the South Morang Football Netball Club. The upgrade will provide greater flexibility for training, night matches and community events while reducing energy use and maintenance costs. This month also marked the completion of the latest improvements at Peter Hopper Lake, making it even easier for residents and visitors to enjoy this popular local destination. Works recently completed include new seating, lighting, landscaping and a shared path around the lake, improving accessibility and visitor experience. A new viewing platform has also been installed, creating another opportunity for community to enjoy views of the lake and its wildlife. Supported by a $2 million grant from the Australian Government's Urban Rivers and Catchment Program, these works build on the recent $5 million revitalisation of the lake, which improved water quality and enhanced habitat for local community and wildlife. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'm glad there was just no extension to that report. I note all of these verbal reports will be documented in the minutes. And moving on to the tabled reports, there's no tabled reports. Item 10 is confidential business. Councillors, I now require a motion to close the meeting to the public under section 66(2)A of the Local Government Act 2020 for the consideration of a confidential item, being the CEO's employment matters, CEO contract. Move, Councillor Labrador.
I'd like to move the motion as is on the screen.
Thank you. And seconded, Councillor Stowe. And I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour, please place your hands. It's unanimous. And we'll do that. And we'll take a 5-minute break where we close the chamber. And thank everybody for their attendance.